Yay, we're ready for the slow stretch. Okay, if you've been doing the warm-up with the basic climbing or the plyometric sections and you've come right to this slow stretch, I want you to walk around for 2.5 minutes until your heart rate and respiration come down before you start the stretching. So you need to keep those legs moving, march in place, do some front kicks, walk around the room, hands on hips, shake those arms out, and when you feel cooled down, come back to this. So go ahead and press, pause, and then come back to us when those 2.5 minutes are up. All right, so for slow stretching, we're going to start with a calf stretch. Jessica's going to help me here because she's about 1,000 times more flexible than me. We're going to put the left foot up. We're going to start with a calf stretch. Now what I want you to do is be at the very end of the KUSHH, and I want you to push that heel down. So the ball of your foot is on top, pushing on the thigh of your leg, and bring your arms up a little higher if it helps. Tilt the hips back and drive the heel down and hold for that nice calf stretch. Stay right there. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Good. Let's do that one more time. Inhale. And exhale. Good job. All right, we're going to move. We're going to change feet. We're going to put the left foot up, drive that heel down, hands at the top of the leg to start or in the middle, and push down, dropping that heel down. You're going to feel a very pronounced stretch in the back of the lower leg, the calf and the soleus. Pushing and holding. Now don't put too much weight. Don't put all your weight. If you come up on that back leg and shift your weight a little bit more forward, it doesn't really help you. So about 2/3 of your weight, maybe at most. And hold that stretch. Take a deep breath. And exhale. And one more time. Inhale. And exhale. Good. All right, our next move is a piriformis stretch. Now, to do the piriformis stretch, you're going to take your right foot to the middle of the KUSHH step, and I'm going to let Jessica do that. And you're going to actually lower yourself down by putting your hands on top of the KUSHH mat and taking a step back with that back leg and just lying that knee down or as close as you can between those elbows, and then dropping your back knee down, not so much that it presses into the floor, but it can gently rest on the floor behind you. And then if you feel that stretch there and you need more, then you can bring your upper body down and get into a deeper stretch. But the whole time you're doing this, take some deep breaths and sink into the stretch as you exhale on those breaths. Remember to elongate the spine, push the hips back, and anything that you'd like to do to accentuate the stretch in mild tension but not pain. Okay? All righty. And then you're going to switch, of course, and you want to progress slowly in and out of these movements. So as you come up, if you want to shake a leg out or two, that's fine. Okay? And then once again, place your foot on top. The knee and the foot is between the arms, and you're just going to hold a basic piriformis stretch here. And remember that Jessica is very flexible, so if you can't get your knee down, don't worry, just come part of the way down with your weight on your hands. And then as you feel a little bit more flexible over time, and you want to graduate down to a lower position, you can bring your elbows down or one elbow down. And then if you are even more flexible all the way. This is a great position because the KUSHH is very comforting to that leg. No bony protrusions are going to dig into a mat or the floor and make it uncomfortable. You actually sink down into the position you need to sink down into to accentuate the stretch. And then one more deep breath and come up out of that. And once again, come up slowly so you feel like you can control the joints easing out of the positions. Okay? Now, that was great for the calf, and we did the hip stretch, but we're going to do now a quadricep stretch. So we're going to lie side lying on the KUSHH mat, and you're just going to lie comfortably on the side. You can put your elbow on top, or you can put your hand on the floor, whatever is comfortable for you. And you're going to grab the top leg at the laces of the shoe and pull the heel back to the hips. Now, if that's not enough for you, straighten that bottom leg and then pull that bottom leg in front just a little bit more, and you're going to pull the leg back a little bit more, and you'll feel as you scissor the legs a little bit more accentuated stretch. And of course, deep breathing in and out of these movements. Okay? And tighten the core just enough to stabilize the movement. Now what I want you to do is release that foot and cross it over to the front on the floor and put this leg down, and then work your way back up for another hip and core stretch. She's going to just sit like that for a moment. If that feels good to you, stay there. If you want more, you're just going to turn, use your hands and press against the legs to pry yourself into a rotation here at the trunk. You can lift one arm back and just hold that stretch. Take a deep breath. And if you want, lift that heel up off the ground that's in front of you. You can lift it. Okay. And then bring it back to a full line straight. All right. And then you're going to take that leg, put it flat on the ground, the bent leg, take your rear leg back, and this is a hip flexor stretch, and you can push that thigh against the corner of the KUSHH. That's a really comfortable position, and you can drop down either in front or straight up like Jessica's doing here and really accentuate that stretch into a low back and rear hip stretch as well. Good job, Jessica. All right, now she's going to bring her foot over to the side in a frog position, and she's just going to lower down and stretch out that entire low back. Again, it's almost like a yoga move. It's almost like a downward facing dog on the forearms here. It's a nice position. And she's going to breathe in and out of this movement. Optimal amount of time for a slow stretch is about 18 seconds. Now we're going to reverse the whole thing and go to the other side. She's going to side lie on this side. Going to take one leg back. Good. And she's going to pull that back heel toward her buttocks. Once again, she's taking that front leg straight out and then slowly bringing it forward, taking the back leg way back. Again, pulling away from the center, splitting the legs, keeping the torso engaged. And if you pull harder against that leg, you're going to feel more hip flexor stretch as opposed to quadricep stretch. Good. She's going to wrap that leg around and bring it in front and cross it over, and she's going to sit up. And again, taking that great posture for that nice, tall hip stretch into a spinal stretch. Using the hands to press against the inside of the leg, she can lengthen this arm out and hold that stretch, and she gets a great rotation in the trunk. She can even straighten that front leg if she wants. And that's going to stretch that hamstring under there. If you can manage that, that's a hard stretch. Shoulders down and away, chest lifted, rib cage bellowed. Good. And then she's going to come back to the front. She's going to take the leg that's crossed over into a lunge position, taking the back leg back, and you can really see here how the quadricep is resting against the edge of the KUSHH platform here. And again, she's got a good extension in the spine, but if she wanted to get a low hip stretch, she could come down into the form and get that nice stretch through that lower left hip. And that's a great stretch again. And I'm going to have her turn around for the final stretch, which is a straddle stretch. This is a great stretch to do on the KUSHH because you can actually sit into the sit bones, and all the very important soft and fleshies are supported there as she comes down into that straddle stretch. Now, you can hold the straddle stretch just there, roll the hip ball under slightly if you want, and feel that stretch and a little tension there. And then if you want to, over time, as you become more flexible, you can lower the forearms down to the top of the KUSHH there. And still you're comfortable. All the inside thigh configurations are comfortable in this position, and the internal muscles are comfortable. And then if you get a little bit more flexible over time, you can lower right down to the ground. Okay, and hold that stretch and let that neck stretch out right there. Any of these actions are good for a neck stretch as well. And there you go. Nice, long, full body torso stretch, inside thigh. And then work your way back up out of the stretch the same way you got back down, breathing in and out, bringing the legs forward, butterflying on top, feet together. And you saw this in the Pilates segment here. But just sitting and then rounding forward here for a final stretch. And you can just hold that stretch and relax. And we're going to finish with a little meditation today, and the meditation is certainly up to you. You don't have to do it, but if you just sit quietly, you can do that. Now, there's one last stretch. If you wanted to sit quietly in meditation for a few minutes, that would be great at this point. Last stretch we're going to do is an anterior core stretch. You're going to lie perpendicular on your back, and you're just going to stretch out and lower down to the ground. So you're going to put from your hip bones and your almost at your bra strap, or imagine where that would be, you guys. And you're just going to find that perfect position and just lay back. And you can always, if you have a hard surface, you can always put a pillow under your head there. But in most cases, you can just stretch. And then butterfly the knees if you like, stretch out straight in a dead man's pose. And if you want, butterfly the knees and open up those hips, and you can just stay there. That's an inversion. Great exercises that we have now in inversions. Very good for you. Taking a deep breath, opening up the core, the anterior portion of the core, and stretching. And you can do this, of course, long ways as well. And so I'll give Jessica a hand and bring her back up. Thanks, Jessica. And she's going to sit and face you. And we're going to say thank you very much for joining us. We're going to see you next time. Now remember, regardless of which segment of the workout you do, make sure you do the warm-up and this slow stretch at the end of the workout, whether you do all the segments or just part of them. I'm Jen Miller. This is Jessica Baldwin. We thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.